Update. I'm about to sue my late wife's family, and it makes me sick. Original story. My wife died suddenly in an accident that critically injured our son. Suffice it to say, along with being shattered, the whole matter has me rather preoccupied. Her family arrived rather quickly and took charge of a lot of things, especially the funeral. It was helpful because my focus needed to be on my son. I was pretty much a guest at my own wife's funeral, because although I was there for a brief while, it was on a day when my son was scheduled for a rather serious procedure, and so my time was divided. All the while, I could hear Suzanne, my wife, in my mind telling me to take care of Zach and not worry about the formalities. So I basically just gave my in-laws my checkbook. I'm not complaining about that. What happened next is different. They wanted to take some of her things. And of course, I understood the value in them having a keepsake of their sister/daughter. I would never have said no. But they took everything. Keep in mind, I wasn't there. My younger son wasn't in the house at the time either. The next time I was home, I realized that they basically cleaned the house out of everything they thought was hers, including photo books. Hours before this, my wife's older sister even went so far as to say she wanted to take PJ, my younger son, saying I needed time and that he would be better with them. I shut that down before she ever finished the idea, though I tried not to let my anger show. In the immediate, my feeling was, I'm not going to deal with this right now. I simply didn't have the time or bandwidth to deal with it then. Not long after, my wife's sister called asking about several pieces of jewelry, claiming them as heirlooms to the family. That prompted me to recall a safe deposit box that my wife kept. I never thought we needed it. When I went to close it out, I found the jewelry. They're not getting the jewelry, but also among the papers, I found that she had a will. It wasn't formal, but it was detailed, and I later learned that it is enforceable. Key to note, my brother-in-law, after learning that his wife took such things as our photo books, demanded that she return them. She refused. My lawyer has been communicating with me constantly since the accident. There are so many details, and I had already given him the will. When I told him that my sister-in-law refused to return the property, which rightfully belongs to our children, he told me he would make a written request for all items to be returned to the executor, me, in order that they can be distributed in accordance to her wishes, and asked me to make a list. This was over a month ago. Today, I get a reply from some attorney stating effectively that I had given them permission, and so all items questioned were gifts. Are you freaking kidding me? This reply came through my lawyer, wherein he said, now we play hardball. He said he'll seek an order, though I'm not sure if that requires a trial. Did I meet with him next week? I would be passive at the shadow of all this mess if it meant protecting my boys from a family upset. But a line has been crossed. I want my sons to have a good relationship with their mother's family. That's paramount, and I would do whatever it took to ensure that. Now we're about to get into a legal dispute, and things are likely to go badly. My last communication was with my mother-in-law, where she lost her mind on me. We had always been close, so this is all so strange to me. She was making demands that were unreasonable. The call ended abruptly when I explained that the boys were my children, that I would decide what is in their best interest, and suggest that she not test me because I'm done playing. I don't need this crap. I buried the love of my life. I'm dealing with the after effects of the accident. I am doing everything I can to bring my son back to good. And now I have to deal with this? Thing is, people manage grief differently. I get that. I respect that. These are not bad people. They are simply behaving badly. But I can't allow it. I haven't told the boys about any of this yet. I hope I won't have to. More than once, one of them asked where this or that is, and I told them that their aunts borrowed them. Who does this? Seriously. Anyway, I have nobody to yell at, but I really don't want to kick the dog. I love the dog, so I'm just venting again here. Thanks for giving me a place to do that. Now for the top comments before reading the update. You are 100% justified, and I hope you get them in court. That's some BS. I'd be doing exactly what you were doing. This makes me so mad. We had the same issue when my brother died. People stealing things, saying they wanted to be in his room one last time. We did, however, take all the valuables out before people came by. But those sentimental things, those are worth more than money. Get those people. You know, I'm actually glad to hear your anger because it makes me feel more justified in my own. This really is wrong. It's not just me. My aunt did that when my grandmother died. She just showed up with boxes and tried to take everything. My mom stepped in and luckily stopped a chunk of it. One day she came back when Mom wasn't around. I was only 11, so I couldn't do much. But I watched her go through the apartment and she would say, "Oh, I like that," knowing my grandfather would just let her have it. Freaking vulture. I'm very sorry for your loss. People suck. You're doing the right thing. How dare they? She didn't belong to them. You're entitled to her memory too. Of all the heartless and sensitive things to do. I've heard of people hiding all of the deceased things and rug sweep their grief, but to have that done to you against your will? That is absolutely belittling to the value she played in your family. My blood is molten on your behalf. I wish you luck. Thank you. She was my family. She belonged to me and to our sons. We were her family by choice, and our boys are entitled to everything she wanted them to have. These people are about to figure that out. They're messing with the wrong guy. I hope your son is doing well. He is, and thank you for asking. He's doing better every day. And now for the update. After my wife died suddenly, I vented here about how her family came through and took her belongings. The reaction from the sub was more than I expected, and was appreciated. A lot of folks here were pissed in my behalf. Many asked that I update, and so I am. I had a long and reasonably deep discussion with Suzanne's mother and sisters earlier today. They speak to the boys, my sons Zach and PJ, on occasion, and actively seek the connection. I haven't spoken to them in a while, and haven't proceeded with any additional action since the initial request through my attorney that they return her property, now my children's property. It was my wife's older sister's birthday a couple of days ago, and, for all that's happened, I still made sure to send her lilies. Suzanne sent her lilies every year. I guess I was looking to remain human through all this mess, and maybe rubbing their nose a little at the same time. Either way, this was the catalyst for her call today. We spoke for a minute or two, before she asked if I would speak to them all together on Zoom. They were actually standing by as we spoke, so I closed the door of my study and joined them online. As they popped up on my screen, I didn't say anything. I didn't show any emotion at all. This was their invitation, so I would just listen, and I had no idea what to expect. Her mother started a conversation by hitting the tough subject head-on, saying, "We have the request from your lawyer and we withdraw our answer. We want to comply with everything." Then her older sister added, "And we want to know how we can fix what we broke." For the hell I've been living over this? The relief of their words was enough. So I told them nothing needs to be broken. They asked me if I would listen, and of course I said I would. And for a while I did. I didn't say a word. They were orderly, if not rehearsed in their monologue, taking turns at affirming each other. Her mother explained that they were shattered after losing Suzanne, and that they seemed to come together as a pack. We've had some time since those first days and we've talked it through, and all of us realized that we weren't thinking, her younger sister said. Part of their grief was anger, they explained. They weren't angry with me, just angry in general. When they were at the house and picking a couple of items to keep, they just kept taking things. Her older sister explained that they were upset that, as Suzanne's husband, I controlled everything and everything defaulted legally to me. She said it shouldn't have upset them, acknowledging that's just how it is, but that they felt secondary. This was the only time I spoke, saying, "I never made you feel secondary. We just wanted her back," one of them said. Without that, we just wanted everything we could have of her. They knew they were wrong, but being wrong only made it worse. They explained it like digging a hole and not being able to get out of it. "So we doubled down," one of them said. Her mother became emotional when she said, "I read the inscription on the box and realized that it wasn't Suzanne's, but that she had it made for you." She then said she didn't mean to take it. The inscription she speaks of is carved on the inside lid of a small decorative box that Suzanne gave me years ago. It reads, "Still and after all." She always said that to me, especially after I would drive her crazy. Whenever it got Suzanne mad, I'd ask if she loved me. She always said, "Still and after all." Anyone would know that the box means a great deal to me. The upshot is that my brother-in-law will be returning everything next weekend. Her mother emphasized everything. He'll be driving down and my sister-in-law asked if it might be possible for him to stay over, given that it's a long ride. I told her that Anthony should always consider this his home, and they should too. When they finished, it was my turn. I didn't say much. I didn't want to say a lot. I only told them how much their decision meant to me and the boys. I explained that I understood everything they said. We were all out of our minds, I assured them. I'm relieved and yet cautious. I need some time to pass, but I'm hopeful that the relationship will heal going forward. I remember reading your original post. The fact you are mature and adult enough to hear them out for your kids' sake is commendable. If anybody came for my partner's stuff if she had passed, I'd be going King Kong on everybody that gets over the threshold. I'm super hyped for you that you got your wish though. Truly excellent news. Thank you. You might remember that I was on the verge. There was a lot of talk about scorched earth. I'm just so glad it's resolved. I'm glad for this update. Happy that they saw their actions were not right. I'm glad that they took a step back and regained their humanity. Godspeed and good luck. Wow. I haven't seen your original post, but reading this brought me to tears. Reconciliation is not something you see often these days. How big your hearts must be to have agreed to speak with them all on the spot. I'm so sorry for your loss, but I'm hopeful for your families moving forward and healing together. I read your original post, and it was heartbreaking and infuriating all at the same time. When you should have been seeking comfort with family members, they pushed you aside. To read today's post was wonderful, and I'm so glad they saw how hurtful their actions were. I hope that the relationship between you and her family survives all of this turmoil, for the sake of your children and you. Best of luck to all of you. I'm with you. I really do hope that this is something we can put a period on and move forward to better days. I'm thinking we all want that. And the best part, my boys still have no idea. I'm trying to keep it that way. Thank you. Now for the last story. Update. My ex-girlfriend passed, but her family barely contacts me that she had a baby. Original story. There's no doubt her son is 100% mine because we had a paternity test just to be sure. Anyways, my 27 male barely found this out weeks ago. The only reason we broke up is because I had to move back across the country last year to help my family after my dad died from COVID. Didn't want to do the long distance since I was gonna stay there working for a bit. She never told me anything. Her mom says she didn't want me to worry about her all the way over there when my dad's family needed me more, and that she was gonna tell me as soon as I was back. I moved back little a month ago. Only now I'm finding out not only that I lost her, they said there were complications when she gave birth, but we have a baby boy. Feeling a mix of stuff, and worst part is, I can't talk to her about it because I wish she'd told me. Her mom says they've barely been managing with him. They need help with him, and so that's why she reached out to me once they learned I was back. Of course, he's mine and that's my responsibility. Still, it's hard not to panic. I'm still in shock about her death. Now I've got a son I need to take care of and didn't even get to be part of the first 2 months of his life. My family doesn't know about him yet. Hell, I still haven't met him yet. Her mom's only sent me pictures. He's beautiful. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm scared, sad, and pissed off for some reason. I'm nervous about meeting him, or how this is gonna go. Her parents will be around to help, but I know he'll be with me full-time for the most part. Really, any advice I'll really appreciate. From new parents or anyone, honestly. What the hell do I do about all these new changes? Now for the top advice before reading the update. I would look into your company's policy on parental leave, then start looking into childcare options such as whether the grandparents can help with that. Congrats on being a parent. Condolences on your loss. And you can do it. Are you listed on a birth certificate? If you aren't, then not only do you have no responsibilities, you have no rights either. It could be very dangerous for you to take over the care of this child if you are not listed as a parent. Anyway, sounds like a mess, but you can do it. Lots of single moms in the world do it all the time. I don't know where you are located, but there are all kinds of resources for new parents, single parents, etc. One of the best places to start is at the pediatricians. Good luck. Not yet, but we're gonna look into getting that taken care of. Her parents want to help out but can't have him full-time anymore. And now for the update. All the info and advice you guys gave in my original post meant a lot to me, so thanks for that. Some of you wanted an update. What can I say? Things have been chaotic. Finally met my son, and that was just a truckload of emotions hitting me all at once. Wasn't expecting it. My ex's mom had to take him for a minute because I was literally sobbing. It wasn't because I didn't want to be his dad or anything. It's one of those moments where everything hits you at once and the only thing you can do is cry. She understood it though, and she cried with me. She's a sweet lady. One of those ladies that treats everyone like her child because of how caring she is. My son has my ex's nose and the shape of her eyes. That's what hit me more. Just because we broke up for the meantime while I was at my dad's didn't mean I stopped being in love with her. And now we have a baby together. Only she won't get to be here to share that family experience, and I miss her so much. Got to hold my son, introduced myself to him. Me and her mom talked about custody stuff. Already got a lawyer for that to make the process easier. So everyone's on the same page. They let me stay over, talked more about my ex, had a few beers with her dad. I stayed at their house a few days because honestly, I was still terrified of being left alone with my son because I had no clue what to do with him. They were both really kind and patient about showing me how to change his diapers, feedings, how to give him a bath, rock him to sleep, how to install the car seat in my car without throwing it on the floor. Her parents were nice enough to let me spend the night, so every time he woke up, I'd be there, either to watch her how she does everything, then I started doing it. He's been with me almost 2 weeks at my place. Got mostly all of his stuff with me. Looking for a 2-bedroom, but for now is sleeping in his bassinet in my room. It's been really hard. Especially the first night, I probably called her mom like 5 times within 2 hours because he would not stop crying. Then his pediatrician because I'm freaking out something might be wrong with him. Calming him down whenever he got fuzzy was my weak spot. Nothing I tried was working. Singing to him seemed to help a lot, walking around my apartment and rocking him nonstop. It's still not easy. At least now I'm feeling more confident that I can handle the crying and not freak out enough to call for help. Taking time off from work again so I can be here with him full time. I'm tired, stressed, still got a lot going on emotionally, but I'm also just happy when I'm holding him or making him smile. Honestly, the little stuff he does, even his cute little sneezes, makes me love him even more. Seems like he's starting to like me too. Almost everyone in my family has met him on Zoom. My mom's coming over to see him. She's offering to do babysitting once I go back to work in another few months, so that's one less thing to worry about. I just wish my dad would have had a chance to meet him. I know they would have been best friends, and it definitely spoiled my son so much. It is like my ex knew that too. So didn't know this until her parents gave me his birth certificate. But my ex wanted his middle name to be my dad's, so that was a nice surprise for me that he's got his grandpa's name too. I'm slowly adjusting to this new life. Not easy, but it makes it worth it. I want to be his dad and give him the best I can the way my dad did with me. Update. Boyfriend faked his death and called my reaction manipulative. Original story. Me and my boyfriend, I'm 21 female, he's 24 male. Together for 3 years. Live apart but have/had plans to rent together soon. Everything was perfect before this. Backstory. I have a history of self-harm. Have done since I was 11 years old. The last time I did it was 2 years ago. I have some brutal scars, but I'm doing much better and I'm in therapy. It's been a while since I even had a urge. My boyfriend had an ex before me who played mind games a lot. I feel it's relevant as he sometimes thinks I'm playing games when I'm not. For example, he was wary when we started dating that I would self-harm for attention or do it to punish him. His ex would threaten things like that if he ever left her. I don't/haven't ever done this, and despite my struggles, I'm pretty good with being patient and communicative. Until this, I considered us to have a really healthy relationship. Main story. Boyfriend went out drinking with his friends. I usually hear from him as he gets home, around 2 a.m., to let me know he is home and safe, but I didn't hear anything last night. I figured he just forgot. No biggie, so I went to bed as normal. I woke up at 11 a.m. to a bunch of missed calls from his mother. They live together. I called her back and she texted at 1 p.m. that she couldn't talk. I was kind of worried and told her as much. She said my boyfriend didn't get home last night and was in a crash and didn't make it. This was super weird to me since I get on well with his mom and would never expect to be told this via text. After some more texting, I fully believed my boyfriend had passed away that morning, and I totally shut down. The people I lived with were all out that day, so I was alone. Grief set in immediately, and I had an extremely bad relapse on my self-harm. At that point, I didn't even care. I was just hurting so much and my usual coping techniques just weren't doing their job. I listened to old voice notes of his, and even sent one telling him how much I loved him through the most unhinged sobbing I've ever done. Well, he arrived at my house 20 minutes later, saying it was a prank. Since he got into a small bump and thought I'd get mad about him driving drunk, as well as about him mushing up his car a little. And him and his friends came up with this plan to just make me happy he was alright. So they took his mom's phone and the above happened. I obviously was thankful he wasn't dead, but I had a million other much stronger emotions. I was so angry he drove drunk. So angry he saw nothing wrong with it. So angry that he would lie about something so serious. It absolutely heartbroken that he let me sit in grief for over an hour until I sent a voice note that made him feel bad. Plus lots of other things I'm still struggling to articulate. He found out I harmed and flew off the handle. He said I punished him and turned a harmless prank into something much more serious and ruined the joke of it. He said I was guilting him for having fun, and now he can't trust I won't do it again. He even suggested I stay in hospital for my mental issues for a few weeks and crank up therapy. He said he can't leave me if he wants now, or else I'll act like this, just like his ex. I am beyond hurt. I probably should look into therapy if I'm still resorting to it, I admit. But this wasn't an everyday bout of anxiety or even breakup. I thought he died. I'm also very aware that his actions were massively awful and he is being so manipulative in the aftermath. How is it a punishment if I thought he was dead? I absolutely would not react like this if he just broke up with me, but I never said or hinted at that. Not really sure what to do now. My gut tells me to leave him over this, but I'm so unsure. Now for the top advice before reading the update. What a sick joke. You need to break things off ASAP. What a cruel thing to do. I could never even be friends with someone who did this. The worst part is that he did it to get away from the consequences of drinking and driving. He willingly and purposely hurt you to ease the repercussions of his actions. Let that sink in. Dump him, please. He's a piece of trash. He even took his mom's phone to make it look like she was in on it. That takes it to a whole new level of cruelty. OP, I would dump him immediately and tell his mom what he did. Make sure to actually talk to her so you know she actually knows what he did. Please listen to your gut. This is beyond horrible behavior, not a harmless prank. You deserve to be with someone who has compassion and respect for you. If anything, the boyfriend needs therapy. He was dead. You can't punish the dead. As it stands, if you don't need therapy before, having this BS pulled on you unleashed all sorts of things in your head, which required some working through. They are pranks, and they are pranks completely undeserving of the term. You weren't laughing before or after the revelation. In what world was this supposed to make you feel better? Go with your gut. Be done. There's no forgetting he did this. There's no forgetting how he made you feel. No decent partner does this. That wasn't a prank he pulled. It was a mind game with actual repercussions that he refuses to own. Like the above comment says, no decent partner does this. He is the one who needs help if he thinks his actions are in any way appropriate. Additionally, if he is drunk driving with friends who are encouraging this, then his overall judgment is severely impaired on more than one front. OP, be done with him. You've already mourned who you thought he was. Now celebrate getting away from who he showed himself to really be. Staying with him is only going to drag you back down and away from the strong recovery progress you'd made. Stay strong. Your boyfriend is a horrible person. What he did shows deep character flaws. The drunk driving is bad enough, the more so because he knew it was wrong and chose to do it anyway. But the harmless prank? That's just mean. So disrespectful and inconsiderate, made all the more so by your personal history. And speaking of the accident, did he leave the scene of an accident while he was driving drunk? Or was he late getting home because he got a DUI? He bumped into a fence post, so luckily nobody was injured. But the potential was there as well as the carelessness. I don't know if he was late or not, honestly. I think he planned this almost immediately, and not texting me all night is part of it. And now for the update. Long story short, I broke up with him for the following reasons. Drunk driving, endangering himself and others. Took his mother's phone and made me think it was her. Deception. Telling me he was dead. Deception/extreme emotional stress. Letting me think that for hours. I could list every negative trait for that one. Borderline sociopathic behavior. Not being sorry for any of these things. Telling me I'm too sensitive. Invalidation, shifting blame. Being mad at me for relapsing. Unsupportive, uncaring, unkind. I still won't blame him for the relapse though, as many people here wanted me to. That is on me and I'm still going to therapy regularly for that. So, for those interested, I took a few days to myself. I did speak over the phone to his mom, and she was incredibly apologetic on his behalf. I taught her how to put a passcode on her phone. After that, we met up and I outlined the things I listed above. He seemed apologetic and sincere about all of them and listened to me well. Unfortunately, he didn't quite understand that being apologetic wouldn't get me to change my mind in ending the relationship. He got annoyed at me for ending it, and again told me I was dramatic and other invalidating arguments. Oh well, I said what I needed to say, and that's enough closure for me. Told me I was dramatic. The guy who faked his own death calls you dramatic. You couldn't hold a candle to this guy to draw mistakes. You made a right decision to dump him. Well, I'm glad you didn't buy the fake I'm sorry act. It's so often used by really manipulative people to convince you they have changed. And I'm glad you saw right through that BS. Good on you. Life is too short wasting time in relationships like this. Agreed. As one of the lovesick puppies that kept going back to awful relationships because he was sorry and wouldn't ever do it again. I don't believe I'm sorry anymore. Not for that. He sounds like a psychopath. 100%. So glad Opie has been firm on this decision. The guy's terrifying with his callousness. Nah, psychopaths don't know why what they're doing is wrong. Sociopaths know and do it anyways. My oldest friend, we met when we were 14 and we are going to our 40s now. He faked his death to get back at me. He's an untreated schizophrenic with frequent bouts of paranoia. And over the years, I could recognize the cycles and signs and adjust accordingly. I've been verbally attacked many times and tempted into fights that I refuse to participate in. We've always come through the other side though, you know. I never thought he would fake his death. There's no way he would ever take his antics that far. But that is exactly what he did. His aunt messaged me while I was on vacation from his phone, stating that he was found mauled to death by a bear. Long story short, 6 months went by and the story wasn't adding up. There were so many questions that didn't have answers, timelines that weren't adding up, this aunt that I had never heard of. I'm an ecologist who works in national parks here and there, and I kept abreast of bear attacks. None for him. No obituary shared by friends or family. You see where I'm going with this. He was estranged from his family for his refusal to get medicated, and I truly believe that they had him offed, or that it was offed by someone, and they were trying to hide it. I became investigative and paranoid and distraught. I took a hiatus from university in my senior year, went to therapy, quit my job, because I was so depressed and angry that this injustice took place, that his family didn't seem to care at all about his disappearance. 1 year went by and 1.5 years. I was beginning to recover myself when I get a text from his old phone number. I called it immediately because I thought someone was playing a cruel joke, and he answered. I'm trying to keep this short, so I'll skip what transpired mostly, but a key part was that he claimed to be the victim, asking me if I learned my lesson for not answering his phone calls while I was on vacation, gaslighting me into believing all of his issues were my fault because I never dated him, even though all the codes in the universe told him that we were soulmates. All that progress I did in that year and a half disappeared within that 10-minute call. It really screwed me up. I sympathize. I empathize. I'm sorry that you had to experience that. Cut the toxicity out of your life. Be strong for yourself. Move on. I lost my oldest friend that day, but truly, he wasn't a friend at all. Next story. I'm 30 female disabled and my partner, 33 male, punishes me by withholding help. We've been together for 13 years. We've lived together for 10. I'm disabled. I don't want to get into how, but I can't do most things for myself without any help. I can hardly walk in a straight line or without stumbling. I have no muscle or strength in my arms. My life involves never going outside except for doctor appointments and staying in bed most of the time. Sometimes I have to put my phone down because it's too heavy. I always have a headache and nausea. Always. We have so many arguments, and they're usually over small things. A lot of them are about him helping me. He doesn't refuse, but he will throw such a tantrum about things like taking the dog out or killing a bug flying around because I ask him to. For example, I'm scared to ask for anything. I know I'll hear a sigh, feet stomping, and a horrible remark. If my partner is cleaning something and I point out a missed spot, I get, "Do you want to do it?" Oh wait, I don't think it's fair. I'd do it if I could. I can't open bottles on my own. I can sometimes, but it'll take a long time and I'm tired afterwards. Just now I asked for some water and he sighed and got it for me. We just had an argument regarding finances, so he slammed it down and left the room. I noticed it was still sealed and closed. It seems like such a dumb thing to complain about, but he always opens bottles for me even if I don't ask. Except when he's mad. Same with opening doors for me. Going to the store to get something I need. Sometimes he won't even make us anything to eat because he's mad at me. I hear "do it yourself" in a smug voice at least once a month. "You love hearing yourself talk," is the response when I try to talk about it. Is this abuse? What can I do? He's all I have, and I'm literally and figuratively trapped. Edit. It made it sound like I do nothing, but I do get up and help sometimes anyway, even if it hurts me. He's understanding and kind on good days. One wrong move for me, and it goes from 0 to 100 on a bad day though. Sounds like caretaker fatigue. Taking care of myself is enough work, but taking care of someone else for 10 years sounds rough. Not that it makes what is doing okay. It sounds like you're walking on eggshells. If leaving isn't an option, maybe there are things you could do to improve your situation. If you need something at the store, could you order it online instead? Same with food. Maybe order in. A dog is a lot of work too, and I hate to even suggest it, but maybe look into rehoming it? That could help avoid more arguments about cleaning or taking the dog out. There are plastic grippers too that might help you open water bottles. Could you get yourself a food tray to use in bed to hold your phone? Counseling for the two of you would probably be a good idea. Other people mentioned in home care, which would probably be optimal in this situation, but I'm sure that's costly. Wishing you the best. This. I took care of a loved one when their health declined. I started getting snippy with them over little things. For example, they asked for a fork while I was literally getting one for them, and I felt so upset. Like, give me a second before asking. It blew up into something bigger than it needed to be because I was doing it all alone. I wish I had taken more time to myself to cope, but even showering myself was mentally exhausting after a while. I was depressed and going through the motions. I'm sorry he is speaking to you that way. Sounds like this is really difficult for both of you, and it is not your fault. I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been for you adjusting to life with a disability. And now your husband is burnt out and taking it out on you. Hopefully get some help for his burnt out and things turn around for you both. I apologize, and I don't mean this rudely by any means, but what is your partner getting out of your relationship? Is there even a relationship there, or has it maybe gone toward more of a caretaker type situation? In the best of circumstances and people with the best of intentions get worn down caring for family members or loved ones day in and day out. It's a lot, more than a lot of people realize. OP, you need home health, it sounds like, and your partner needs to attend some anger management classes, along with some therapy sessions. The therapy would probably be beneficial to you as well. There definitely needs to be changes made. It sounds pretty toxic and not healthy. If we aren't fighting, we fight several times a month, then we have a good relationship, seemingly. People who don't know our problems think we're a perfect couple, which just makes me sad, to be honest. We hang out all the time, be intimate, cuddle, the usual. It's just that most days he has to help me. Not like all day long, but many times a day. I know it's hard for him. I just wish he wouldn't punish or scream at me. Now for the last story. My 23 female boyfriend, 24 male, put me down after I jokingly referred to a co-worker as a work husband. So I talked to my boyfriend about work a lot like most people do, and I talk about my co-workers a lot. I frequently mention this guy, who I have no feelings for by the way, who's one of my best friends at work in addition to many other friends. My boyfriend joked about how we talk a lot, and I teased him and said he was like my work husband. My boyfriend paused for a moment, then said that a lot of guys aren't into the fact that I don't have that high libido, and that he was willing to overlook it unlike most men, and added, "Just let me know." It felt oddly personal, but at the same time maybe I hurt his feelings when I referred to the guy as my work husband. What do you think of this? Now for the advice. While his response leaves a lot to be desired, in his defense, you are throwing out a couple of signs that maybe you do in fact have a crush on this co-worker, and your joke only added another. Yup. Boyfriend's response was uncalled for, but so was calling someone else your work husband. Regardless of how it was meant, I feel like most people can agree that it's throwing out signals that you have feelings for this person, OP. Sounds like both of you have behaviors to apologize for. She totally does. You would never use that term in any other context. How many stories here about cheating start with "my work blank"? He interprets husband as being a more permanent, established relationship than boyfriend. You just downgraded him in comparison to your work colleague. Absolutely. The idea of a work husband is extremely disrespectful. Boyfriend probably should have responded with, "I guess you don't need a boyfriend then." He could have gotten his warning shot in without attacking a potential insecurity. Update. My boyfriend 26 male found out I'm 26 female, rich, and started using it against me. Original story. My boyfriend and I met through a dating app 8 months ago, and we've had a good steady relationship. I come from a well-off family, but my parents never spoiled me. They taught me to not indulge in excess and to keep my privilege in mind when interacting with people. I'm currently living in an apartment with only my salary. I haven't told my boyfriend about my wealth. I wasn't actively hiding it just didn't come up. My birthday was a few weeks ago and my parents threw a party at our home. Our home is a medium-sized villa. My boyfriend started scowling when I told him that that was the home I grew up in. When I asked him about it, he told me it was nothing and started smiling again. His mood got worse as more and more of my parents' rich friends started coming in. When I asked him about it the next day, he just told me that he was feeling a little sick. After we got back, he asked me why I hid the fact that I was rich. I told him that I wasn't hiding it, but he started bringing it up in every conversation after that, like telling me that I didn't know how to cook properly because I was spoiled. He brought it up with his friends, telling them I was a spoiled princess who had everything handed to me. It started as jokes, but it got more hostile as the days went on. When I brought this up, he told me I didn't know normal people's problems because I was rich. Did I do something wrong? What should I do? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Well, technically you're not rich. Your parents are. Did he discuss his parents' income with you when you started dating? Drop the man-child though. He doesn't get to dismiss your feelings now due to his own assumptions. Not only that, but he's actively insulting her. Relationships can survive many things, but they cannot survive contempt. What she describes is contempt. Contempt is one of the 4 relationship killers. The others are criticism, defensiveness, and stonewalling. 3 words. Only 8 months. He's 26 years old and acting like a teenage a-hole. Don't waste your time on this guy. Heads up, if you decide to dump him, he might tell people because he was too poor for you. If you got any of these rude jokes on text, I would save them. He will definitely tell people that's the reason. But if they don't have any mutuals, I honestly wouldn't even worry about what he says in the end. Just dump him and move on. You've got to end this. This is clearly something he's incredibly insecure about. It's only going to get worse. What happens later? He starts asking for money, or starts making you feel like crap about something you had no control about growing up. Wealth is success, and if someone is jealous of that, it's ridiculous. Exactly. You did nothing wrong. He's obviously very class-conscious and has preconceived ideas of people who have money. You sound like a humble human being, and he's an a-hole for not admiring that you live by your own means when you don't technically have to. It doesn't sound like it'll get better without him doing some soul-searching and confronting his prejudice, but that doesn't mean you have to accompany him on his journey. Good luck. And now for the update. After I made a Reddit post, I tried to have a conversation with him, but he kept stonewalling me. He made more snide comments, and so I decided to break up. When I told him that I was leaving him, it felt like he was expecting it. He called me a rich witch and went on a rant about how I was leaving him because he was poor. Some commenters told me to expect this, but it still came as a shock. He and I have very good salaries, and I don't know why he said that. He was a good person most of the time I knew him. Some people asked me why I didn't warn him about my wealth. All my relationships before him were with people in my social class, so the expectation of wealth was implicit. Having wealth was not a big deal in any of my previous relationships, so I assumed it was the same in this one too. I'll warn my partners before taking them home into future relationships. This is a tangent, but I wanted to talk about "I'm not rich, my parents are" thing that many comments suggested. A lot of my friends from wealthy families used that line as a defense, but it is misleading. If I wanted to, I could dip into my parents' finances. I choose not to, but it is still my wealth too. It might technically be my parents' money, but it still makes me wealthy. And having wealthy parents comes with a lot of privileges even if I don't actively use their money. I never had to work a job when I was studying. I had access to the best schooling. I don't have student loans, and my parents' connections open a lot of doors. Having a safety net let me find what I was good at and let me take risks. So unless they are estranged from their families, children from wealthy families are also wealthy. I thank all the people who commented in my original post and gave me advice. I felt like I was doing something wrong, but you made me see that it was his insecurity and jealousy that was the issue. Having a safety net let me find what I was good at and let me take risks. Excellent point. A lot of people don't understand how big of a deal that is. Even if you're not taking risks, just knowing if you get laid off, get injured, have your house burned down or whatever, that you have a safe place to go to and money to get back on your feet can be a huge stress relief. I'm glad Opie recognizes and appreciates what she has. Everything she said is true. Boyfriend is a jerk, and you're well rid of him, Opie. As someone who has never had a safety net, my dad died when I was 18. My mom had a breakdown and totally became a different person to me when that happened. I can't even express how much that safety net matters. You might not know how important that is when you have it, but when you don't, oh wow, life can suck. You sound like you have a good head on your shoulders. I'm sorry, Poldy, because I'm poor card, but you know it isn't true, and don't internalize it. You broke up with him because he was acting like an a-hole. What upsets me about this is that you have such a great attitude about this, but your ex still couldn't cope. I grew up very poor, but my friends were quite well off as I lived in a fairly wealthy area. Like you, they weren't total wankers, so this wasn't an issue. I can't see what your ex's problem is here. I agree. I'm also a very salty, poor person, and I chase the money in all I do because I'm so incredibly jealous of rich people. But if I dated someone well off, I wouldn't be hateful. I would be happy I could be marrying into it. Maybe it's a gender thing, and a dude's been fine knowing him and her, possibly, make the same salary. However, when he found out about her family, he then immediately put her in a category for being more rich and more wealthy, and thus his fragile ego shattered. Next story is titled, Crazy Update. My 21 female boyfriend, 23 male of 10 months, just told me today he doesn't like the idea of present giving and I shouldn't expect any for Christmas. I've already spent $100+ on him. Original story. I've been dating Rob since February, and I thought things were going really well. Until today. I know it's already ridiculously late to speak about presents, and I wish we discussed this earlier. I just assumed even if we hadn't spoken about giving presents, we would still be exchanging some. Well, today I brought up that I couldn't wait for Christmas, and I was wondering what my parents were going to get me, and he started going off about how he's so against presents and the idea of gifts. I was taken aback and asked, so you're not giving me anything? And I said nah. He told me he's never bought anything for anyone, so I shouldn't expect to be different. We spoke for a long while about why and such, but it's not important, as in the end he still isn't going to give me anything. I feel as if things have changed since this conversation, in only a few hours. I feel as if I'm obviously not too important to him if he hasn't gone out of his way to get me even a tiny gift. I made it clear I do like giving and receiving presents, and I told him I'd already bought his, so he said to take his then. Is it wrong of me to not want to give him his presents if I won't be receiving one? I think it's a little selfish as going to accept his present without giving me anything. I don't want to break up, but I'm wondering how important this relationship is to him. This may sound melodramatic, but I've never been with someone with such odd views on Christmas. What do you guys think? Should I take his present back? Should I give it to him and ask if he'll make an exception and buy me at least a little something? Or should I keep the presents for myself? Also, if things were going to go downhill, is this a ridiculous reason to break up over? Have you ever met someone with similar opinions? Thanks in advance. Now for the advice before the update. I told him I'd already bought his, so he said to take his then. I'm not getting you anything, but I'll happily accept $100+ of gifts you bought for me without reciprocating. Yeah, no. You take that stuff back and buy yourself a nice gift. No kidding. That response is not the response of somebody with a philosophical objection to present giving. That is the response of a selfish, greedy person. Can you return his gift? If you're not going to receive anything, then neither should he. And if he complains, you can tell him that too. You said you're not really a gift kind of guy, and since I won't be getting anything, I didn't think it was fair that I spent this much money on you. I might try to get away from explicitly mentioning money, so it seems less like a tit-for-tat situation. Maybe more like, you said you're not really a gift kind of guy. When I bought a gift for you, I thought we were going to share an experience of exchanging gifts. It's not the same if we can't have the moment together, so I just returned it. He sounds like a bit of an A, to be honest. It's not just about him not believing in gifts. That's fine. What rubs me the wrong way is that he basically told you that you were no more special to him than anyone else has ever been with. I worked a long time in retail, and I think Christmas is pretty cheesy and stupid. But it makes a lot of people close to me happy, including my significant other, and I still participate every year. It's not really about the gifts, it's about making people feel good. If he cared about you, he'd do the same. And now for the crazy update. Firstly, thank you so much, guys. I received so many helpful comments and messages, and I'm truly very grateful. It was nice to see everyone's opinions and have some insight. Lots of things has happened since I wrote this post, and it's been pretty hectic. I decided to keep the gift I got him. It was 2 games for the PS4, and because I like gaming and I didn't have those games, I figured I'd keep them for myself. I knew taking them back would be pointless because I'd end up buying something similar anyway. So I opened them as I was feeling way too stressed about this and played them happily. It did cheer me up a bit, and so did calling a few friends. So I decided to speak to him. I went over to his house, and I asked him if this meant I'd not be getting presents for my birthday or Valentine's either. I just said those holidays were different. Apparently, the only holiday he was against giving gifts on is Christmas. This confused me even more, because if he's against present giving, shouldn't it be for all holidays and not just one? I asked him if it had to do with religious reasons, and he said no. He just disliked the idea of Christmas, and that was it. He had been brought up thinking it wasn't normal to give presents on Christmas. Then I brought up another point that was mentioned a few times in the comments. How come I wasn't an exception? I should be just a little bit important to him, I hope, and therefore he could have bought me something anyway just because I'm his girlfriend, and it would have been nice to receive something. He told me never make an exception for anyone because those were his beliefs, and anyone who dated him would need to understand and respect that. We argued for a long time. Like, I'm thinking we spent at least 4 hours just sitting in his room discussing why he was so against giving me anything. Also, why was he so alright with buying me something for my birthday and Valentine's, but not Christmas? I would understand if it was for religious reasons, but he clearly stated it had nothing to do with that. He blamed it on his parents, which makes the next part even more interesting. His mother comes into the room, asking us to come into the living room. I knew they were leaving on the 24th for a small vacation, so I was wondering if this was a small goodbye, or maybe even perhaps to scold us for yelling at each other. The house is big, but I don't doubt they could have heard a little bit. And then I was speechless. Sitting on a dining table are his parents and 6 wrapped up gifts. I looked at him and was like, really? You don't celebrate giving presents on Christmas because your parents are against it, but they do? The parents sat us down and gave each of us a gift, and told us to open it now, and we'd have our own small Christmas just a day before. I opened it, was a lovely gift, thanked them, etc., all while killing my boyfriend mentally. I was a little annoyed. And then this happens. He starts grinning while I'm glaring, and takes out a gift. For me. I want to cry at this point. What on earth is actually going on? He hands me the gift. It is a Swarovski necklace, looking pretty expensive. He smiles. The parents leave to give us some space, and I smile back, still really freaking confused. He said it was hard to try and hide this gift while I was yelling at him earlier, but all along he had made an exception for me. All of it was a surprise. He doesn't believe in present giving, but still had bought me one anyway just because he thought I deserved it. So at this point, he still doesn't believe in giving anyone presents, but he did buy me one. I was immediately really happy and hugged him. It's a lovely necklace, and I apologized over and over again for yelling. We have a really nice time and head back to the bedroom and watch TV, cuddling and having a sweet time. He then asks for his present. I tell him I've opened them already and kept them for myself, so I'm going to need time to buy him a new one. He suddenly becomes furious. I explained he told me he wasn't going to get me something, so obviously I wasn't going to be giving him one if I wasn't supposed to expect anything back. Gets really mad, saying I should have kept the present for him, because in the end he did get me something. But how was I supposed to know that? He begins to scream about how I'm an ungrateful cow, and how he shouldn't have spent a penny on me. His mother comes in, tells him to calm down, and he screams at me to leave the house and he never wants to see me again. I do, and take the necklace. Perhaps a bad move. I explained I will buy him a new gift, a better one, and still he's too angry at me to understand he only needs to wait a day. I left and came home really confused. I tried calling and he hasn't answered. I've been calling since I left the house 3 hours ago. Guys, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused, and today has been one hell of a day. Any advice is appreciated. I'm thinking of going back there tomorrow. I'm sorry if this wasn't written the best way. My head is all over the place. I've also spoken to my best friends, and they're also confused as hell. Thanks in advance. So, he tells you that he doesn't want to exchange gifts, then gets upset when you believe him? Sounds like a real winner you've got there. Yep, how dare she not read his mind? Don't you know anything about Christmas magic, OP? Yeah, he is a jerk, who threw a fit and offended you over something you could not possibly know, OP. I can't fathom how he thought it's gonna play out. Also, have fun playing games while wearing an expensive necklace. And hopefully celebrating being jerk-free from now on. Can you imagine living your life with a person who thinks it's okay to play games with people's emotions like that? Awful. What happened here was, he had a very specific scenario worked out in which you were going to be swept off your feet by the surprise necklace. What didn't take into account is that, when you surprise people, you risk them having an unpredictable reaction. Now he is butthurt that you didn't react the way he scripted everything out in his head. I think you should send the necklace back and break up. But if you do try to work it out, you need to tell him to be more respectful and show more empathy. This whole exchange showed that, in the process of giving you a gift, he was entirely focused on himself. Why would you try to work it out with someone who called you a cow to your face? Not only that, but the whole family dynamic is super weird. The parents heard them arguing for hours over this, and then just surprises them with gifts? And all the mom has to say over her crazy son calling his girlfriend an ungrateful cow and leave the house, never to return, is a simple calm down? Either this is usual behavior on the son's part, or it's possibly learned behavior from the dad. Still don't want any of that nope cake. That is some weird game playing on the part of the boyfriend. That kind of pranking and gotcha is just plain sicko. He kept you in his room 4 damn hours telling you why he won't give you a gift, and then pulls the old, "Where's my gift?" A friend doesn't treat a friend like that. I would not find his behavior forgivable, and would return the necklace. And I surely would not want to spend the next few years trying to figure out when he is pranking me and when he's being truthful. I'd end the relationship.